Hello everyone, this is part 53 of What If Naruto Learned the Secret of Shadow Clone, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Naruto was grinning as he gave ground against Han. A flamethrower blast of fire was quickly dodged, the fire engulfing a line of bushes while Naruto took to the trees with Han in pursuit. Now it was water that blasted his way, stripping the bark from several trees while Naruto swung around and changed directions. With each near miss his grin grew, while Sasuke seemed to be getting more and more pissed off. Why do I get the feeling you're playing? A quickly made grand fireball was launched, which Han blocked with a wall of water. The resulting superheated steam was then sent back Sasuke's way, who was quick to evade while keeping an eye on the toothy blonde. You aren't you? Naruto shrugged as he lopped off a tree branch and sent it surging toward Han with a Shinra Tensei. How pissed would you be if I said I needed him alive? Naruto watched Han bash the branch away from himself with strength alone. Well then, guess the old man had some real power beyond just crazy chakra levels. Very. I would be very pissed off. Sasuke watched a tree literally explode from another superheated blast of steam. He made a note not to get hit by one of those. Is it important? Life hangs in the balance. Naruto dove in for close combat, Kubakiri trailing water vapor as Han just weaved away, saving one of his arms in the process. And no, it has nothing to do with explosions. Han could see Sasuke's eyes bleeding into the Sharingan and cursed. Damned Uchiha. You speak as if I'll just roll over and die for you. Retreating to the ground, Han's personal furnace turned up to full blast, blanketing the area in thick steam. Come and taste your death, boys. Naruto dove in after him without hesitation, eyes shining. I wanna hear you scream. And then he was gone, leaving Sasuke to watch from above. Sasuke could just make out their forms moving about the vapors, Han dodging Naruto's even more ferocious sword strikes with ever-decreasing margins. But all of the chakra floating in the air was making it hard to get a lock on the older ninja. Of all the bullshit Naruto could pull now, he'd have to sick one of the girls on him later to get the information out of him. Maybe Tayuya, she was well and truly cranky lately. Gyaaaa. A body flew overhead, disappearing well into the distance. Sasuke turned to see Sakura flitting about the undergrowth, most likely taking out the rest of the Iwa nin that had come along with Han. Good. Kept her away from this monster. I could just Susanoo stomp this asshole into the dirt. He had to try and reason with the idiot at the least. Don't spoil my sport. He owed Hinata one of his arms. Naruto's accompanying cackle echoed through the forest, before a meaty thwack saw Han hurtling from the smoke with Naruto hot on his heels. You're too slow, old man. Chest expanding 3 times normal, Han twisted mid-air and belched a huge torrent of steam directly at Naruto. And you're reckless. He was only partially prepared for the glowing golden Naruto that bulled through his technique. What? Shit. The boy had come to terms with his biju. That certainly complicated things. Naruto grunted as Han chucked his furnace at him, easily slashing the equipment apart and giving chase. Don't give up now. Both men alighting upon the trees and dancing among them for a bit, Han was blocked from another tree by a white-hot fireball from Sasuke, trapping him in close combat with Naruto. That's the way. Kubakiri arced down, and was caught on Han's chakra-augmented braces. Grunting under the weight of the strike, but easily holding the boy at bay with his enhanced strength, Han chuckled, guess I better take you serious after all. Chakra began to boil from the older man and Naruto jumped away with a disgruntled look. Guess you should have killed me faster, huh boy. Naruto continued to jump back, leaking chakra as Sasuke did the same on the other side of the Iwa Jinchuriki. How do you know you aren't playing into my hand? Barking out a laugh, Han began to rise as his chakra began to take a real physical shape. You just don't know when to shut up, do you, boy? Mentally he chuckled and switched with his partner. You're up, Kokuo, give the boy hell. The biju may be a pacifist by nature, but he would follow Han's orders. He had no choice in the matter. As you wish. Naruto watched as Han's body exploded with chakra and was replaced with the full body of the 5 tails instead. Standing close to 100 meters tall with the body of a horse but the face of a dolphin, the goby was here with 5 angry tails crashing through the forest to uproot trees and the landscape. Upon his head 3 horns dipped as if to skewer them in a charge. Do I get to have some fun this time? Kurama was itching. It had been a while since he had gotten to fight one of his kin. Shukaku didn't count. Naruto got to have him. Naruto nodded, golden chakra exploding from him as he and Kurama connected. Have a blast, just remember we need him alive. Easy work then. Kurama cackled as Naruto settled within his chest. Kurama's golden form full of biju and sage chakra gained form and substance. Eventually he settled about a dozen meters taller than Kokuo with a wide grin full of rows of sharp teeth. Flush with power and a physical form once more, Kurama couldn't help but gloat a bit. Feast upon perfection and despair. Several tails crashed down at his statement, throwing up trees and sizable amounts of earth while a few more thrashed through the air. The 9-tailed fox was reborn. Opposite him and completing his own chakra construct, Sasuke blew a sharp breath out through his teeth. This is way past Tayuya. I'm telling Hinata. Less talking, more beating the snot out of a biju. Naruto was grinning as the surprised Kokuo wasn't given time to contemplate just how out of its depth it was. Kurama was quick to sprint his way, tearing apart the forest to land a rising uppercut into the 5-tails face. A shock wave exploded from the impact, flattening trees and scattering a dust cloud that obscured them from view. From the cloud Kokuo burst free, still reeling and body twisting from the impact, only to come face to fist with Sasuke Susanoo. What is this? Back and forth Kokuo went, bounced between the 2 massive constructs with no rest or time to formulate a plan or counter-attack. Mind dazed and reeling, the normal pacifist turned inward to his host. You said he would be a pushover. He should be. Fight back already. How? I have no time to do anything at all. Naruto and Kurama were of the same thoughts even if they weren't privy to the conversation going on in the others' heads. I know you're a pacifist. But you could at least try to fight back. Another strike, this time from a pair of tails, sent the 5 tails spinning into the raised shield of the Susanoo. Down below them and miles away now, Tsunami was assuring the citizens that everything was normal and okay. No evacuation order had been given, and even the ninja forces were keeping to their standard patrols. Even so, it was hard to explain away 300-meter-tall monsters duking it out in the countryside across from them. This is Lord Uzumaki's power. He tamed even the greatest of the biju to his will, someone was muttering in the crowd, and Tsunami was reminded that she most of all had something she could do. Turning to face the crowd that had formed at the end of the bridge, Naruto's bridge, she put on a wide smile and raised her hands to clap once. She had their attention at least, everyone. Lord Naruto is fighting to defend us so we can continue our lives as normal. We should abide by his wishes and do so. Even though she was met with some mutterings and confusion, her words did begin to sink in. Return to your normal lives and duties. If the situation changes, I'm sure Lord Naruto will be the first to warn us. With a relieved sigh, she watched the crowd begin to disperse, and with it she hoped that the news would spread to the rest of Wave. She'd have to make sure some of her helpers passed along the message. Turning back and watching that strange horse being bounced back and forth by the fox and the warrior, Tsunami nodded resolutely once. Naruto's job was out there, so it was their duty to keep things together here. Back on the land of fire side of the border, Naruto was beginning to lose interest in Kokuo. Even he could tell the biju didn't want to fight at all. He needed Han to come back to the forefront. Spinning, Kurama's body swung all of its tails together, bashing Kokuo and sending it flying to crash and roll to a stop nearly a mile away. The part of him that was a sage cringed at the torn and destroyed forest, but he resolved to come back and fix it later. Eno would like that, they could make it a date. Focus brat. On what? Drag Han back out so we can have a real fight. True, even I tire of beating on a dead horse. Single quote. Single quote. Naruto blinked slowly, really. Wasn't my best. Sasuke stepped next to Naruto, Susanoo glowing but weaponless for the moment. Can we put this to rest already? Naruto shrugged as Kokuo trudged to its feet, mouth open and black chakra beginning to gather there. I'm up. Taking control back from Kurama, Naruto held up both of his monstrous hands and anchored himself with Kurama's tails. Not Uzumaki chains but good enough. Bidden by thought, seals began to line his hands, mirror by those of Kurama. You can't catch this boy. Move or you'll die. Naruto grinned and mentally gave Kokuo a point for effort, only one way to find out. Watching the Bijudama grow in size, he had only to moment to watch the sphere of dense chakra disappear inside Kokuo's mouth, before his word erupted into light and sound. Kokuo felt something in his heart grow heavy as he watched the other Jinchuriki vanish in his attack. Fighting wasn't going to solve anything, but he was bound to the will of his host. Just another corpse on the mountains of others. Wait. Naruto's form was glowing even brighter, hands tightly packed around the ball of unstable chakra and seals rapidly forming and breaking all around it. As they all watching on, Naruto pushed his hands closer and closer together, the black ball condensing and stabilizing until with a shout of triumph, Naruto crushed it down into nothing. Pulling his hands apart like a street magician, he revealed the attack was long gone and only the smoking chakra hands of Kurama remained. Ha! Knew I could do it. Turning his eyes to Kokuo, Naruto's flashed a bright purple, give me back Han. I have a bone to pick with him. Kokuo didn't even think about it. 1 second the five tails was there, the next its chakra was receding and Han was left panting and exhausted in a devastated expanse of land. Standing and gasping for breath, he didn't even know his Biju could do that. Forcing itself back into the seal shouldn't be possible without his permission. There was no time to think on it as a golden fist crashed into his face. The world spun, sky was ground and ground was sky before a boulder interrupted his flight. Pain registered next, so much pain down to even his bones. Yet again he was pulled free by his ankle, a grinning and manic Naruto in a form-fitting golden cloak of chakra, his only clue that this was about to hurt, a lot. Heaving the older man above him, Naruto smashed him down into the ground by his leg. You do not touch my wives. Lifting Han again, Naruto brought him smashing down into the earth with all his might. Once, twice, 3 times. Again a 4th time for good measure. Letting go and watching the Iwa Jinchuriki Wizen try to catch his breath within his own personal crater, Naruto's Kubikiri was resummoned. And I said it, didn't I? The sword flashed out, blood arcing into the air as one of Han's arms was sent flying to flop onto the upturned earth. The scream that came from the man was music to Naruto's ears. You owe Hinata an arm. How had it all gone so wrong? Han rolled to his side, remaining hand clutching the wound where his shoulder used to be. This should have been a simple job. Trap the boy in a barrier so he couldn't teleport away, overpower him with his Biju state and drag him back to Iwa so the Kyuubi could be transferred to someone else more worthy. But this, what was this? He needed time. Needed to regroup. Beginning to crawl, he cursed his forces. Where was everyone? Naruto strode forward, senses focused on everything that Han was feeling. Sage training came in handy so very often. A foot came down and pressed Han into the dirt to stop his crawling. Just where do you think you're going? Han grit his teeth, blood leaking from his mouth and even more pooling on the ground from his wound. Impossible. You shouldn't be this strong. No hesitation. Naruto brought his sword around to pierce one of Han's legs and lock him in place. Another scream tore free from the man, but Naruto couldn't bring himself to care. I have a family to protect. People who rely on me and a nation that nearly worships me. I have to be strong, for them. My precious people. You wouldn't understand that though, would you? Tired, worn out and chakra fading, Han would at least face his death. Twisting as much as he could with a sword pierced though his thigh, red eyes met ringed purple, weak sentimentality. You'll fall soon enough. Tapping his fingers together on one hand, seals were born on his fingertips, maybe one day, sure. Said hand buried itself in Han's gut, and the man was unconscious within a breath. Won't be by your hands though. Naruto stood to his full height again, pulling his sword free and sealing it away as a bored-looking Sasuke and an irritated Sakura alighted on the ground behind him. Sasuke was the first to come to his side, so, gonna clue me in on why you need him alive. It's all part of a puzzle. It was a deft motion that saw one of his transport scrolls summoned, Han's body sealed away, and the scroll resealed back on his person. Welp, he only needed 2 more now. Sakura sighed and shook her head, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Turning to Sasuke and seeing some sort of understanding on his face, she turned back to Naruto and started to ball up a fist, Naruto. Oh would you look at the time, we gotta get back. Turning with a grin to dash away, Naruto had to laugh as Sakura gave chase. You asshole. Stop running so I can beat some answers out of you. Pretty sure it doesn't work that way. I'm turning you into an answer-giving piñata, you bastard. Hold still. Sasuke watched on as the love of his life and his best friend made to return to Wave. Sometimes he wondered if Naruto had it all figured out, and then moments like this had him considering that probably wasn't true. Naruto's brain had been rattled loose by one too many explosions. What is he up to? He'd have to find out, if only to irritate Sakura a little. B. Isaribi cursed her luck as she stood atop her fuafua, the deep thrums of one of its heads charging a new blast of power already filling the air. Down she pointed, where she could see the human blender that was Kisame deftly evading a tail swipe from her dragon. Fire at will. There was light and heat, but Kisame had already blurred away, disappearing underneath the surf and into the depths of the sea. Heat and steam rose into the air from the mist blast, and Isaribi again cursed that Kisame of all people was against her. The right head was spent, cutting its blast as the left head began to recharge and the center head did its best to locate their target. This was not her day. Kisame was having a blast and Samehada sung in his hands as he breached the surface at full speed. He was just slightly to the right of the beast, sword coming down for a blow against its neck. Haha, I'm taking this one. And then Isaribi was there, scaled fist meeting scaled sword, nice try Sharky. She felt her chakra siphon away at the point of contact, but it was enough to deflect him and for Fufua's tail to catch him in the chest, rocketing him away to bounce along to Waves. Adhering herself with chakra to her beast, she idly looking about its neck. There was several large gouges already, some had come close to damaging her golem fatally. Never mind the chakra siphoning ability, that man just had too much raw power. Fire again. If she could just slow him down. Kisame cackled and caught himself, standing to his full height and whistling loudly, "You pack a punch, little lady." That beast was big and slow, but she was covering for that well enough on her own. And he had learned after the first blast of power that he couldn't block it with just Samehada. It wasn't just chakra, it was more than that. He didn't have time to figure out the trick though, so he'd just have to break her toy. I'm gonna get a little more serious now. He began a short sequence of hand seals. Isaribi hopped back to the middle head, eyes locked on him while her mind raced. How in the world was she supposed to bridge the gap between them? If she could just force him to pause for a moment or two. Lurching a bit, she frowned as a whirlpool began to form below them. Cheeky, but useless. Aim down. The center head complied, a faster and lower powered chakra blast detonating in the center of the forming whirlpool and ceasing its creation. There was an eruption of water and steam that washed over her and blocked her vision for a moment, but in the next Kisame was there with his toothy grin still in place. Gotcha. Samehada swung down, scales rattling and rubbing against each other. Clang. Kisame's eyes went wide as Samehada was stopped, well, slowed really. Was that a trident? Isaribi spun, Samehada passing over her shoulder as she angled the prongs of her weapon towards Kisame's face. Her thrust was fueled by both skill and more than a little desperation, but even still it was a near miss. Kisame leaned away at the last second and the two began to trade blows. Kisame keeping up fast but powerful arcing swings that rattled her arms and defense with each hit, while Isaribi would twist and turn with a flexibility born from her augmentations and natural ability in order to slip strikes in wherever she could. As their fight continued, she realized that it wasn't enough. He healed nearly as fast as Lord Uzumaki did. You've got some skill. Laughing up a storm as they danced atop her beast, Kisame locked weapons with her and drew in close. But you've got no power, no strength. Where's your boss? He's who I wanna fight right now anyway. Not you, small fry. A push to break their lock, and then a forward mule kick sent the smaller woman hurtling away. The golem, now free from having to stay still to protect its mistress, set about ready to kill Kisame. Both outer heads turned while the air thrummed with the gathering power. He wasn't having it, rearing up and smashing Samehada down into the center head with all his strength. Its skull cracked and caved, and with a monstrous whine the center head began to fall, while Kisame rocketed off after the scaly woman. I'm bored of these toys. The entire beast fell behind him like a puppet whose strings had finally been cut. Rowing several times before taking to the water, Isaribi could feel that her golem was hurt. Clenching her fists around her weapon, she wasn't surprised when Kisame caught up to her under the water. Their clash renewed, Isaribi with fast and increasingly accurate thrusts that each sought to skewer him, while Kisame did his level best to crush the smaller woman under his might. One of her trident's prongs finally slipped in, drawing blood from his neck, and Kisame's heart sung for more. Fine. I'll take you seriously then. Swimming away to make some room, Kisame discarded his Akatsuki cloak as he swam back at 3 times the speed. Isaribi was ill-prepared, and took a tackle to the midsection for it. Up they went, before Kisame added chakra to the mix and launched the reeling woman into the air, out of the water and free of defenses. And Kisame was right there, sword already in mid-swing. Finally he connected, blood and flesh filling the air as Isaribi only just got her trident between herself and him. It wasn't enough, her right side taking the brunt of it as she was tossed like a ragdoll. Several bounces among the sea's surface and she came to a shuddering stop. Breathing labored, blood leaching into the water below her, Isaribi still forced herself to roll to her knees. Get up Isaribi, chakra low and unstable, just holding herself above the water was a monumental fight. Part of her wanted to call it quits. Wanted to say this was enough. She had fought hard, harder than she had ever in her life. No one would judge her if she just let herself slip under the waves. And yet, she was ascending. You have people to fight for, damn it. One foot was now under her, breath coming in gasps as she looked up through narrowed eyes. Kisame was already sprinting towards her. Great. One last clash then. You have to fight. Woman up, damn you. You have to fight. Kisame's eyes gleamed. Yes, yes. Fight me. Give me everything you've got. In one breath she was on her knees, blood pumping into the waves and looking for all estimations like a strong wave would pull her under. The next he was upon her, and her trident was rising to meet him. Glorious. Same had a met trident. The shock wave produced pushed all water away from them in a several 100-meter circle, not that it mattered to Kisame. Because this woman, she, was, still, fighting. Leaning back and watching the scales of that dangerous weapon slide past her vision, Isaribi was back twirling the trident overhead and gaining some room as Kisame backpedaled. Again, another thrust that tore at his cheek, more teeth revealed in a grisly display of flesh and blood before the wound healed. Samehada came swinging down for her head, a strike that she barely avoided but responded with another thrust at his midsection that tore a thin line just below his ribs. Her vision was beginning to dim now, but she could still see him and that was enough. Just a little more. She was getting closer, closing the gaps. She just needed one shot. Kisame cackled as the shorter woman slipped past a thrust from him, only to trap his weapon between her arm and her uninjured side. Are you crazy? Laughing as her trident came for his chest, the one opening given to her from such a maneuver, his fist came up and stopped it just short of his heart. You really are. You're my kind of woman, you know that. The trident trembled in his grip, but edged forward a centimeter. Fascinating. A front kick launched her away again, more flesh shaved away in the moment. And yet, she refused to fall, already back on her feet and dashing towards him, eyes focused to pinpricks, all for him. Only on him. Cackling even more, Kisame traded blows with the increasingly deadly woman. Now if only you'd actually talk to me. This would be perfect. I have no words for you. Isaribi ducked and allowed the Samehada to swish over her back. Then she was back up trading blows. I'll fight and die for my people. On pure instinct as his free hand flashed by her face in an attempt to punch her, she opted instead to bite him in turn. Sharp teeth closed on empty air, but the yelp from him as he retrieved his hand was worth it. Why not fight for yourself? Fight just for fighting's sake. Why put a useless cause to it? Another downward strike aimed at crushing her down into the water. And yet this time she held firm. Muscles bulging and straining. You can feel it, can't you? This glorious feeling surging in our hearts. There's nothing better than this. That grin on your face proves me right. Legendary sword met battered and dented trident, neither yielded. Yet for Isaribi she hadn't noticed when she had started to match grins with the larger man. Sharpened teeth gleaming in the sun. But it didn't matter. She could barely feel her hands, locked as they were on her weapon. Her chakra was all but gone, and if asked, she couldn't say how she was keeping on her feet. Her sides were slick with her own blood, and she could just make out schools of sharks below them. The fight continued on regardless. A sphere of death on the waves. Until with a shout, Kisame finally broke through, Samehada snapping the head off of Isaribi's trident to send it spinning into the watery depths, and now beginning to reverse his swing. I'll remember you, Queen Undertow. You're truly strong. Remember this asshole. Blindsided, Kisame's body was sent skipping along the waves. Whoever that was hit a hell of a lot harder than Little Miss Monster Tamer could. Body and mind spent, Isaribi collapsed. Her savior caught her, holding her gently by the shoulders. Was that blonde hair? Whisked cheeks? Ah, Lord Naruto had come to see her off to the afterlife. She had done her duty proudly after all. The shaft of her trident slipped from numb fingers, and Isaribi wept. Duty done or not, she had regrets. She should have spent more time with Gosu. Maybe. Naruto snarled, smacking Isaribi once along the cheeks, waking her slightly. Don't you dare die on me, Isa. Tayuya and the others would cry buckets if you did. Sakura, we need you. A spray of water came from behind him, and the injured woman was gingerly taken from his hands. Sakura nodded to him as Sasuke kept an eye on the distant Kisame. I've got her, Naruto. I won't let her die. Hands already glowing green, Sakura took in the mangle mess that was the Azushio specialist. She had her work cut out for her. Naruto nodded, idly noting the damaged but limping golem underneath the water. One battered head rose from under Sakura and the others to carry him off, while another eyed him. Take them back to Azushio. I'll take care of Fishface. Sasuke eyed Naruto cautiously as the golem started back to Azu. You sure you want us to leave you alone? Naruto turned back with a smirk as he unsealed Kubikiri. Someone needs to be in the city right now. Something doesn't feel right, and I need to deal with this eyesore. Crashing back into range, Kisame's teeth shone in the sun. You finally shone yourself, brat. Samehada bore down on Naruto's raised Kubiri Kiboko, and yet neither budged. I've been looking forward to this. I sure hope you've improved since last time. Eyes going cold as Naruto could feel the others retreating with his injured subordinate. The Uzumaki leader pushed Kisame up and away. No chance I can convince you to knock this off and go away. Muahaha. You want me to stop? Kisame was back, another powerful swing coming for Naruto's head. The headhunter was there to meet him with a crash. Beat me, and I'll do whatever you want. Naruto went on the attack, golden cloak springing back into existence as he matched Kisame blow for blow. You nearly killed one of my ninja, I really should maim you for that. Boo, boring. Boring. Kisame spat a water bullet from his mouth, one which splashed harmlessly against Naruto's upturned palm. Swords it was then. A diagonal slash was just narrowly dodged. Where's the blonde menace that has been terrorizing the shadows for years now? Where's the battle maniac that stood up to me and Itachi? I want that Uzumaki, not this simpering bleeding heart. Naruto spun, Kubikiri coming around faster than sound, edge trailing vapor and aimed right for Kisame's neck. You want that version of me? Then make it worth my time. Sucking his teeth as Kisame back flipped away to safety, Naruto gave chase. Kisame dove under the water, leaving Naruto to track him by sage senses alone. Within moments the water erupted with multiple shark clones that each were looking to take a bite out of him. Dodging and destroying the clones, Naruto kept his main focus on the real threat. Far underneath him, Kisame took control of the very water itself. A new whirlpool beginning to form with him at its eye. Naruto didn't care, tapping into the Rinnegan in order to float above the water's surface as more and more of it dipped down below its normal level. The whirlpool built and raged, rivaling those that naturally occurred around Azushio and her waters. Finally there was Kisame, far below on the ocean floor and waiting for Naruto. Don't give me lofty ideals or motives. I fight because I want to. That's it. Battle just to battle, to prove I'm strong, that I exist on my own terms. Naruto rolled his eyes, both understanding where Kisame was coming from, and knowing there was always more to it. Even still, Kisame was a threat, one Naruto couldn't allow to remain. Reversing his polarity via magnet release, Naruto dropping like a meteor towards his prey. Let's test your might then, Hoshigaki. Kisame was already swinging Samehada up to intercept the blonde. Let's have it then, Uzumaki. B. Tayuya grunted from her place at the head of a specially made seal-laden table. From it rose a hologram of Azushio and Wave, where she could see representations of their troops and incoming threats alike. Around her the border monitoring unit worked overtime to keep all patrol teams up to date and ninja moving. Walls of computer monitors alive and showing images from cameras all over Azushio and from faux animal golems carefully spread out all along the border. But her attention was focused, a few kilometers out from Azushio's main island where Naruto just made contact with Kisame. Already she could see the marker from Isaribi's golem returning to Azushio, while Isaribi's radio signal accompanied it with Sakura and Sasuke. Putting a finger to her throat, she keyed her mic. I want medical on standby to receive Queen Undertow. Is there an update on our sooner visitor? Karen's voice answered her near instantly. I have Fangirl stabilized and we'll be ready for Undertow when she arrives. Nodding though she knew Karen could not see her, Tayuya's attention turned to the north, Silken Fist to Coastal Patrol Teams 1 and 2, anything from Lightning. There was a beat of silence in her ear, before one of the squad leaders keyed in, Team 2 to Silken Fist, that's a negative. All quiet here. Team 1 also confirms, no movement. Tayuya sighed with some relief. Okay, continue patrol and report in regularly every 15. Over. Roger. More silence, but Tayuya's attention was already moving. Next to her, Eno was watching movements as well. Good thing we were able to get a hold of Naruto and redirect him to Isaribi. Yeah, Tayuya would have had to march out there and rip Kisame's spine out of his throat if he had ended up killing Isaribi. Well, if she could get ahead of Gosu that was. She'll be alright. So will Naruto, once he stops playing around. Something was going on with him. Had to be. He could have flattened Kisame the moment he showed up. So why? This is Riptide Team 1 to control. Should we move to assist Mr. 9? Jugo's voice called out over the airwaves, and Tayuya really considered that for a moment. Shaking her head, Tayuya keyed back in, negative Riptide. Continue your orbit. Naruto had placed them at the central island to protect the Uzumaki, Uchiha estate. Even in an emergency they were to protect the family first and foremost. She knew they were likely frustrated, but the family didn't want to risk outing the secret of their home just yet. Understood control. Riptide continuing patrol. Eno sighed as she nudged Tayuya. He sounds pissed. Tayuya nodded, considering he and Kin both were used by Orochimaru. Hearing about one of their own getting injured so much has to be trying. She especially wanted to do nothing more than fly down and make sure Isaribi was okay. She kept reminding herself that there would be time for that later. They all had a bit of a soft spot for the woman it seemed. We're all a tight-knit bunch, aren't we? Grinning and slugging the pregnant woman in the shoulder, Eno agreed, bet your ass we are. We're all family. Gentle death to control, confirming Academy is fully secured and defenses are online. Hinata's voice was quiet but had an edge that Tayuya smirked at. Good to hear gentle, anything else? There was silence for a time and Tayuya thought maybe Hinata had nothing else to say, until the radio clicked again. Some news. Headcount shows one missing from the valley. Shakiro. Oh, right. Naruto had let him go do something. A mission, right. Tayuya was sure that was it. Don't worry, gentle. That operative is on a mission. Understood. Gentle death returning to duties. Eno leaned against the table as the marker labeled for Naruto seemed to glow brighter for a moment. Naruto sent old man Shakiro out. Why? Eno hadn't spent much time with the elder Uzumaki man, but had gauged the man as quiet but kind. A soul who had been through and seen way too much of this life. Don't know, he didn't say. Didn't say, or don't want to repeat it. Eno's jade eyes bore into Tayuya's own, and it was Tayuya who turned away first. He didn't. Tayuya leaned in, voice a hushed whisper, don't. They made a pact. Naruto had to let him go. But still, he's a new. He's also a ninja. Determined to finish out one last mission. Tayuya and Eno stared at each other for a long moment as the room around them continued on. Until with an even heavier sigh Eno turned away and stared down at the holographic map. Should I say a prayer for Kumo? We're well past that by now. Kumo's made their bed, let them lay in it. From behind them, one of the technicians' voices rose, Ma'am. I have a chakra spike. Tayuya turned to them with a pointed finger, put it on the map. Where are we looking? Directly under the tower, Ma'am. Cell block, moving towards medical. Tayuya and Eno both turned to each other. Tayuya shook her head as Eno's eyes gained a determined look. Don't. You can't go and Naruto is busy. Send Honoka my way. Eno was already waving over her shoulder as she raced to the elevators. I'll be smart. Uzumaki's honor. You better be. Tayuya watched as Eno disappeared behind closing doors, giving her a thumbs up and a grin. She better not do anything rash. She wasn't Naruto after all. A hand went to her radio again. Silken fist to researcher, there's an emergency down in the cell block. Flower garden is on the way now. Understood, on my way. Honoka's voice was quick and to the point, giving Tayuya hope that at least one of them would be cautious. Turning back to one of the technicians, Tayuya issued quick orders. Send 3 squads of samurai golem down to the cell block level. Hopefully they can slow him down even a little bit. Yes, ma'am. Thoughts back on track, Tayuya brainstormed. Who could have broken through all of the defenses and gotten into their tower now? Of all times, that would have to take a real spy master with knowledge on Uzumaki seals to do so. Screw this. Silken fist to Mr. 9. We have company here at home. End your fun and come home, now. One sushi plate coming right up. Naruto's voice was jovial at least, and that gave her some hope. Now it was back to her main problem. The only major threat in the cell block was Hidan. How could he have gotten out with only a head? What was going on? Ma'am, we have the chakra spike on a hallway camera. Tayuya was already turning, put it on the big monitor. There was a flash as one of the larger monitors switched from a view of the city to a view from under the main tower. Sure enough, there was Hidan, but that was new. His body was all white now short of where his head met neck where is maintained its healthy fleshy coloring. Next to him was that unknown Akatsuki member, the plant man. Something in Tayuya stirred as she keyed the radio. Flower garden, researcher. Hidan is free and he has an accomplice. The plant man who crashed the summit. Be on guard. Understood. Both women called out together, while Tayuya was left biting her thumbnail. Did this mean Akatsuki had turned on them? Was that pain guy somewhere around? Just waiting to strike. To many questions, not enough answers. B. Below the main tower and grinning wide, Hidan flexed his new body. I'll have to thank you later, Zetsu. You've given me a new lease on life to spread the word of Lord Jashin. We have so many heretics to sacrifice. His mind was locked on a certain glasses-wearing redhead. Torture him would she? Treat him like a dog? Oh, he had something for her. Oh, he had lots of plans just for her. We don't have much time. We need one other and then we depart. Quit your bitching little doggy and just follow orders. Hidan rounded on the plant-based man instantly. Wanna say that again. Though he was without his weapon, he could still make short work of the spying-oriented ninja next to him. Want me to leave you behind? That shut Hidan up nicely at least. To think it had all gone so wrong. Years, decades, centuries of planning. Nearly for moot. But there was a chance. One small chance. Come, we must hurry. Together they ran, Zetsu leading the way as Hidan followed along while grumbling. Time was short. Common. Show me the man who's earned the name of Maelstrom. Kisame's legs flexed, same hadder above him and blocking Naruto's downward strike. The force buckled the ground beneath him, the seabed cratering and sending coral into the air around him as the whirlpool they fought within raged on. Naruto's eyes flashed into the Rinnegan, already flipping away before re-engaging in a fast-paced kenjutsu battle. Sword flashing out against Kisame's own. Once, twice, and then a lock with both men grinning and pushing against the other with all their might. I told you, give me a reason, and I'll show you just what I am. They broke apart, Naruto having to idly duck from a water clone shark that leapt from the wall of water in an attempt to rip his arm off. It splashed harmlessly against the rocks, but Kisame was already there to take its place. You snotty brat. That sword suits you after all. A useless dreamer just like Zabuza. Memories rose to the surface, Kisame's own past hurtling through his mind in an instant before both legendary swords locked together again. Mind clear, shark teeth flashed in the sun. I'm gonna rip your arms off. Naruto spun, breaking the lock and allowing Samehada to crash into the earth. An opening made, Kubakiri howled through the air to cut a thin line across Kisame's chest. Blood gushed forth and Naruto could make out exposed ribs for a moment before healing assisted by Samehada kicked in and Kisame was soon whole again. Clever that. Your sword really does like you. It's the perfect partner. One that lives for the battle just as much as I do. A thrust caught Naruto in the chest to push him away, but the younger man was quick to take advantage of the distance and began molding chakra. Kisame frowned and chased after him. None of that. This is a test of our might. Samehada came crashing down even faster than before, and Naruto was there to catch it with Kubikiri. Naruto pushed up, unbalancing Kisame for a moment. Long enough for Naruto to drive a chakra-assisted fist into the larger man's solar plexus. Spit and blood flew from his mouth and then Kisame was launched up and away, high above where the water level would normally be as his connection to his technique was shut down. Already the whirlpool began to destabilize, and Naruto jumped after his target and to safety. Catching Kisame in midair, they exchanged blows and heavy strikes back and forth as the whirlpool filled in and collapsed underneath them. An explosion of water separated them, sending both to the water's surface for a moment's reprieve. One Kisame was quick to interrupt, body rushing through the wall of water with Samehada thrust forward. You get it, don't you? Of anyone on this planet, I know you do. Their blades clashed, and the sea responded around them, waves pushed away with the force of their combat. All sea life had long deserted the area, Kisame and Naruto's bloodlust and killing intent enough of a warning for even the largest of predators. Tayuya's voice entered Naruto's ear, a tone of worry in her voice that reminded Naruto that there was more going on than just his battle. Silken fist to Mr. 9. We have company here at home. End your fun and come home. Now. Face splitting into a grin as his gut feeling rung true, Naruto focused on Kisame fully while touching a finger to his throat. Radio, one sushi plate coming right up. In quick succession Naruto ducked under a horizontal swing from Kisame, responding with a thrust that Kisame retreated from. Normally, if things were different, I honestly would have loved to fight you for as long as you'd like. Naruto's blade dug a line down Kisame's left arm, though Naruto took a shaving thrust from Samehada to the left hip for his trouble. Both men healed near instantly, but Naruto knew it was time to put the older nin down. Sure, I can't make you leave. In the world we're building, you and I can have all the time we want to fight at our leisure. We could continue this later, as many times as you'd like. Kisame chuckled as he began to sweat. The little shit had improved leaps and bounds over the snot-nosed punk he had first encountered in that hotel hallway with Itachi. But even he knew he wasn't going to leave this one alive this time. The kid was still holding back. Good. Admittedly, you're what I've been wanting all this time. This is it. What is? Both blades came together again and the very air shook. A good death. Kisame's grin was tinged with blood as his arms shook. Healing via Samehada was all well and good, but it was murder on his body and chakra. Breaking apart, Kisame manipulated the water around them, sending a horde of shark clones after the young cage. I've hated this world for a long, long time. Death, betrayal, duty. I've killed friends and comrades, all for the glory of my home. And for what? He watched as Naruto deftly dodged and destroyed clones easily, inching ever closer to Kisame himself. I became strong, served my village well, and submerged myself in the guilt of knowing I had the blood of my comrades on my hands. There's no place for me in this new world. One that acknowledges that monsters are no longer needed. I'm a tool, one of those outdated monsters. And what do we do with monsters? Destroying the last clone and tossing the Kubiriki like a boomerang, Naruto watched it fly true to bash against Kisame's quickly made defense. And then he was upon him again, a Hiraishin closing the gap so they could continue their conflict. Monsters are to be destroyed. That's right. I tried and failed to fix things. Zabuza tried and failed to fix things. But he passed on his hopes to you, and I'm going to do the same. Samehada's scales shifting and rattling against each other, Kisame brought a heavy overhead strike down on Naruto to crush him into the water. Chakra spread along the water's surface and Naruto held firm while water rocketed into the air all around them. Smart move. So best me. Stop me from marching on your city alone and laying it to waste. Prove that you're the maelstrom they say you are. The S-class nin with a flea on sight order. Naruto pushed him off, Kubikiri arcing out faster than ever. Kisame was a tad slower to retreat this time, losing his pinking and ring finger on his left hand for his troubles. His healing was starting to slow, but he could still fight this way. Show me you can hold true to your ideal of making a world without the lies of the current ninja world. Naruto shook his head, catching on to what Kisame was all about. Two clones burst to life, each moving to flank the bigger man. You got taken in by Obito's plan. The Moon's Eye plan. You mean Madara? He recruited me himself. continuing to shake his head as Kisame destroyed his clones, but giving Naruto another chance to race in, an opening created to draw more blood to stain the waters below them. Kisame still refused to go down, even with a new open wound along the left side of his chest. The man calling himself Madara was a fake Obito Uchiha, a trash bag of a human being with no imagination. Grunting as he could tell the cage wasn't lying, Kisame added it to the list of lies told to him in his life. Go figure, even now I'm still the loser. Naruto shrugs, both men breaking away from each other while sizing each other up. Sorry, I figured you'd want to know the truth at least. I can't promise this new world will be without lies or heartache. But I can promise it'll be more real than what's been allowed so far in the past. Something for the people, for men and women like you and me. Naruto tilted his head at that, a sigh escaping him. Well, what we used to be at least. Both men came back together one last time, swords flashing in the sunlight to crash together. Each strike sent the air rumbling like thunder while the water around them erupted and sprayed them in turn. One wishing he had had the strength to change things himself, the other wishing he had more time. Enough. Show me the strength necessary to change this world. Naruto's body snapped gold, his chakra cloak manifesting and imbuing him with Sage and Biju chakra in equal measure. His next horizontal slash was fast, a blink, and Kisame's dominant arm was sent flying. Not given a moment to rest, a combat boot crushed into Kisame's chest to send him rolling and bouncing along the sea, blood and visceral trailing him before he could catch himself. Sliding to a stop and actively feeling his ribs grind together, he knew most if not all of them were broken. Grunting but rising to his knees, Kisame searched for his weapon. Even one arm down he would continue to fight. Continue to rage. His eyes landed on Samehada, held aloft in Naruto's left hand while Kubikiriboko bounced on his right shoulder. Naruto strode towards his opponent, filing away the sentient nature of Samehada for later study. So, you want to see just what I really am, right? Struggling to his feet, Kisame grit bloody teeth and nodded with an eventual grin. Could ya grant this idiot that one request? I want to see it before I die. Sighing, Naruto nodded, reaching deep inside of himself. Past Kurama, past the sage chakra he had accumulated, to his very core. And pulled. Kisame felt it first, a feeling of intense and inescapable dread that washed over him. This wasn't killing intent. No, this was something else. Not malice, not hatred. It was colder, uncaring. The gaze of a being that was so far above him he might as well not exist. What gripped Kisame's heart was a fear so primal it froze him on the spot, body refusing to even breath. Even as Naruto himself changed, cloak shifting and becoming more wild, eyes darkening into a more violet hue while the bar-shaped pupils changed into more canine slits. But more, something Kisame could just make out, behind the boy. No, what the boy would be. By the Kami. Kisame's grin softened into a more genuine smile, even as Naruto walked by him. Thank you. Kubikiri flashed out, and Kisame's world faded. He sank beneath the waves, his head sinking before his body. This was good. Going to sleep among the sea was probably the best he could hope for. Maybe in the next life he could have something better. Naruto willing. Naruto was already walking away, chakra fading while he sealed away Kubiriki. Idly looking down to Samehada in his left hand, Naruto shrugged. While mastering you would be a lot of fun, I think it'd be better to find someone more suited to you, yeah. The sword rustled at him, a feeling of acceptance washing through him before Naruto nodded and sealed it away as well. Kurama sighed in his mind, you're pushing it. I know. You're strong, but what you're thinking. What you're planning, Kurama sighed as he couldn't fault his partner. Plus, he certainly didn't have a plan of his own. I'm working with what I've got. Let's go, I'm sure our guest is doing something stupid by now. A finger pressed to his throat, Mr. 9 to control, I'm on my way back. Not waiting for a response, Naruto homed in on where he could feel Tayuya's chakra and flashed away. B. Hidan's mad laughter filled the hallways of the lower levels of the Uzumaki Tower. His way was blocked by the fake samurai of the Uzumaki, but they mattered little to him at this point. Behind him, more than a dozen broken and destroyed bodies lay scattered, proving that though this body wasn't his, it certainly made for a great upgrade. One of the golem came forward, a sword coming down faster than what most low-level jonin could hope to see, and yet Hidan cackled, sidestepping the attack and shoving his arm through the thing's chest. The modified chakra armor from Spring held for all of a moment before with the sound of breaking glass Hidan was through. The automaton shuddered once before its chakra faded and Hidan pulled his arm free. The white flesh shifting and moving, changing from the spear he had wanted and returning back into a dexterous hand once more that he flexed and clinched. He'd have to thank Zetsu later. The plant man had faded into the floor, asking Hidan to catch up. Not a problem as far as the zealot was concerned. Where's a real challenge? I'm gonna waste all your toys at this rate, you heretics. Cackling as he destroyed yet more of the obstacles before him, Hidan continued to move confidently forward. That Uzumaki bitch had carted his head around more than once to her lab. He knew where to find her. Where he could have his revenge. I'm coming for you, you red-headed cow. The last silent guard blocking his way fell and he came to an intersection. Was it left or right from here? 3 senbon dug into his back, leaving him blinking and whirling around in confusion. Well, what the hell is this supposed to do? Ripping the weapons free, he spied a hot little blonde and another redhead sprinting towards him. Finally, new blood to sacrifice to my lord Jashin. Eno frowned, senbon launches running full tilt while Hidan's arms became a whirlwind, blocking the weapons from ever touching him. Well, the fact that he isn't down already is concerning. That was some of my strongest poison. That should have been enough to knock out even Naruto. She knew, they tried it. Stepping to the front, Honoka's chain sprung from her arms. Guess I'm up then. We're killing him this time, yeah. Yup, don't need him anymore. Eno watched as Hidan's arms became barbed whips, arcing out to slash them for their complacency. Honoka intercepted them, chains blocking and striking against them in a whirl of destruction that was quickly tearing apart the hallway. Eno held up a hand, extending 2 fingers while pointing towards Hidan. Think you can hold him for a minute? I've got something for him. Honoka grunted as her chains rattled. Was Hidan always this strong? She'd have to give Tayuya credit for taking this guy down all by herself later. Yeah, take your time, not like this is life or death, ya no. Hidan cackled, taking a step forward and pressing his attack, body responding and growing 2 more tentacle-like appendages. Ha 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 ha. Jashin blesses his most faithful. I'm a killing machine, and soon to be your death. His new arms raced her up his assault, chipping away at the redhead's barrier little by little. He'd get through, and then he'd tear them apart limb by screaming limb. A barrier coming to life between her chains, Honoka gave a bit of ground as Hidan hammered against her defenses. She was not a combat type. She was support and defense. Eno's eyes shone, electricity arcing off her extended arm and fingers as she focused on the monster before them. Drop your barrier. Hidan cackled, the light blue barrier fading even as multiple chains speared his arms into the 4 corners of the hallway. And yet he leapt, feet becoming blades as he aimed for the troublesome woman. I'll hack you apart and eat your heart. Eno made eye contact with him and grinned. Yamanaka's secret technique, flay. Chakra burned down her arm and hand, light piercing Hidan's eye and dropping the man to the floor 2 meters from them. She and Honoka watched on as Hidan's body convulsed in increasingly powerful movements, legs thrashing against the floor and walls before with an audible crack both of his legs shattered. Honoka watched on, unable to take her eyes off of what was happening before her. Just, what did you do? His back arced tightly, lifting him off the ground supported only by his upturned head and spasming legs. Eno smirked, arm going limp at her side, induced a seizure. Well, several really. You can do that. I can do a lot of things. Honoka looked over her shoulder at the grinning blonde. You and Naruto are terrifying. You think I'm bad? Ask Hinata what she wants to do to Hiashi one day. Eno turned as Hidan's body became an uncontrolled mess. Arms split away from the main body as he lost more and more control, allowing him to flop back and forth limply as more muscles tore and bones crushed themselves under the pressure. Mouth open in a silent scream, Hidan bit his own tongue, mouth and throat filling with blood though he was still unable to die. Shaking her head, Honoka's chains formed a cage around Hidan's body, a cube barrier coming to life around him. Time for this trash to burn. Adding new seals to her chains as Hidan's body continued to pulse and moan, they both watched as the barriers faded from blue to red. With the change came Hidan's fate, body beginning to disintegrate within the cage as Honoka and Eno watched on. It wasn't long until there was nothing left of him and they were along once again. Eno sighed and turned back to return to the bank of elevators from whence they came. I don't like it. Hand coming up to her ear, she needed info, flower garden to control, Hidan is dead but the plant wasn't here. Honoka formed up next to her as they lightly jogged their way back. Why would that guy break Hidan out, just to abandon him? That was a question that was churning Eno's stomach into knots. The easy answer came to her right away, as a distraction most likely. But for what? What are we missing? Eno's earpiece chirped, flower garden, head to medical, that was the path they were on before. Tayuya's voice was just as worried as before, and Eno nodded subconsciously. On it, we're on our way. Honoka followed Eno as they switched directions and headed deeper into the tower's depths. Ready for more craziness? Eno clenched a fist and nodded, whatever that asshole is up to, we'll put him down. No one walks into our home to threaten us and lives. Both women fell into silence as they ran, the hallways empty of personnel as the emergency signal was given. Yet, as they rounded another corner, they spied the door to Karen's lab and within it the fastest way to reach the medical level. At least it would have been, if the door wasn't barred and glowing with a barrier seal. Coming to a slow jog and then stopping, both Eno and Honoka looked at it in confusion. As Honoka summoned a chain to analyze it and probe it, Eno again touched a hand to her ear. Hey Silken Fist, does barrier made know we're coming? There's a barrier up. Eno waited, watching as Honoka's chains touched the barrier, only to arc electricity and hold steady. Huh, worrying. Tayuya's voice again broke her thoughts, she hasn't been responding. Can you get through? Watching as Honoka turned to her and shrugged, Eno sighed, doesn't look like it. Naruto's voice derailed all of their thoughts, I'll handle it. Return to the control room flower garden, researcher. Left blinking and wondering what was going on, Eno turned to Honoka who was already pulling away from the doorway. Guess that's that then. Eno didn't like it, not one bit. Something is off. This isn't like Karen. Or Naruto for that matter. What was she missing? It was Jinchuriki attacked, followed by an ill-timed Kisame. Now one of those Akatsuki goons snuck in to break out his other member, only to abandon him. And now Karen was radio silent. And Naruto, he seemed to know something. Someone is keeping secrets. Honoka came forward to place a gentle hand on Eno's shoulder, we don't know that. You know Naruto. He would tell us if something had been going on. Well, Eno wanted to agree, really. But his tone just then was not normal for him. That happy mood he had been in earlier was long gone. Still, best to trust him. This was the man who had promised to stay true to who and what he was. The man she loved and wanted to build a family with. Yeah, okay, Naruto's got this. Honoka smiled and nodded, already turning to lead the way back to the elevators. Of course, we can grill him about it later. She was pretty sure Karen knew how to set up that truth seal on the fly. Eno watched the redhead turn and leave, gate confident as her chains returned to her body. Of course, this has been a shitty day. We need pampering and a vacation when this is all over. Anxiety in her chest, Eno did her best to ignore it. At the minimum, Naruto wouldn't let something happen to any of them. She could trust that. We turn back the clock, several minutes to just after the announcement that Hidan had been broken free. Karen had a frown on her face, walking quickly without running away from the medical area and towards her lab. Behind her and just to her left, Kabuto followed in silence. Someone was in the tower, specifically in the basement. Of all the places, she needed to lock down her lab. You're in a hurry. Kabuto's voice on slightly distracting her as the lights hummed above them. In front of them a door opened silently, sliding into the wall and then closing behind them with a soft click. Karen's mind was still elsewhere. If you knew the sort of stuff I kept in my lab, you'd be a little worried yourself. Though she had been using him as an assistant, she hadn't brought him around her more sensitive projects. For now I need to set up my barrier, lock down some equipment, and seal away certain supplies. I'll watch over you then. The least I can do. Kabuto grinned and adjusted his glasses as the shorter girl turned back towards him with a glare. He knew she didn't fully believe in him still, but that was all right. He had given his word both to her and to Naruto. A chance, that was all he needed. Another door and they were inside a large and well-lit space. A far cry from Orochimaru's dark and dank laboratories, Karen made sure her workspaces were always warm and well lit. though as she walked between rows of worktables full of equipment and supplies, and made way for a computer at the center of the 50-meter diameter room. Dropping into the waiting chair, with a few key presses, a door at the opposite wall clanged and shuddered. Large metal bars falling from the ceiling to lock it closed from within. Next, a pale barrier sprung to life and Karen sighed with some relief as she spun in her chair and stood, a new goal on her mind. All right, computer is shuffling passwords and encrypting itself. Barrier is up. Next, you're going to come with me. Freezing in place, Karen's breath caught in her throat. Slowly she turned, coming face to face with the black and white face of the infiltration specialist of Akatsuki. Well, this was just perfect. How'd you get in here? Worm thinks they can keep me out. Funny. I've been around a long time. Uzumaki barriers are nothing to me. White half of Zetsu taking the lead again, he walked slowly between the tables, uncaring as Karen paced away from him to keep a constant distance between them. I can adjust and change my body and chakra however I desire. Mimicking Uzumaki chakra is child's play to me. A cold smile slipped free as he could see the realization on Karen's face. Anyway, I need you, and your shadow I suppose. Karen's eyes twitched towards where she could see Kabuto out of the corner of her vision. Great, just what she needed. Yeah, why's that? She didn't believe he was here just for her. No, there had to be something here he wanted. She had to buy time. Why else? Your blood. Your body. Necessary sacrifices, I'm afraid. Zetsu chuckled as he idly tipped over an empty beaker, shattering it upon the floor. You're much too weak to fight me, just relax. I don't want to kill you. But I can. Smirking, Karen kept her eyes locked on the other man. You think so, huh? I think you'll have a harder time of that than you assume. Rolling his eyes, Zetsu paused, eyes glinting with malice. You Uzumaki. A thorn in my side for as long as those Senju. At least the Uchiha had the decency to be manipulated easily. Those betrayers ate themselves in the end, down to one last member. A cruel grin grew on his face, and the Senju were easy enough to either kill off or allow to fade into obscurity. The last of which are known drunk well past her prime. But not you Uzumaki. Here finally, some emotion. The table Zetsu placed a hand on collapsing under sudden pressure and sending its contents clattering to the floor. Your clan is full of nothing but cockroaches. Kill a few but you come crawling back. Scatter you and you find your way back together. That wretch Asura must be proud of his spawn. Gold eyes trained on the till now silent Kabuto. How about a change of tactics? Restrain her and I'll release you. You'll be free to go as you please. Fair trade, isn't it? The black half of Zetsu wanted this done and over with. They had blessed Hidan with a body, but even they knew he wouldn't last. Madness had taken that one long ago and now he was little more than a living machine. Don't you want to see the truth of this world? The truth, huh? Oh, do tell. Karen froze as a hand came to rest of her shoulder. Kabuto. Would this snake really betray her? Now, he had to know she'd activate her seal and kill him right. Kabuto was smirking as he pulled the smaller woman behind him, free hand coming up to adjust his glasses. Tempting, but I'll have to pass. I have the feeling that anything you show me won't be the real truth. Comfortable maybe, but certainly not the real truth. Sucking his teeth, Zetsu surged over the tables as Kabuto forcefully tossed Karen back and away from them. Then I'll have to toss you away like the trash you are. Stupid humans. Kabuto's right hand came around, a chakra scalpel coming up to pierce Zetsu's throat with ease. Someone not used to combat shouldn't be so quick to start it. Zetsu grinned, white and black halves splitting away with a wet sucking sound. The white half flowing over and latching onto Kabuto's body. Kakuku, was this meant to be your redemption? Sacrificing yourself for the Uzumaki woman? Feeling the silver-haired man try to fight against him, Zetsu forced his body to turn, so they could watch his black half advance on Karen. Why don't you watch as I drain you of your life force and capture the woman? No, you weren't even a pebble on my path. Kabuto struggled, fighting the tug on his chakra while half his face was covered in shifting formless white flesh. His eyes met Karen's, the young woman afraid, but seemed ready to jump in. Don't run. Flash away to Naruto. I'm useless at this point. Shaking her head, Karen's chains burst from her back with several aimed at the advancing black Zetsu. I refuse. Uzumaki don't leave their friends or their allies to die. I won't give you the choice, you witch. Then why don't I take away yours? Black Zetsu froze in mid-air, a purple barrier springing up around it to hold it in place. Leaning around to give Karen a wink, Naruto gave her a carefree smile. Sorry. Got a little hung up. Hope I didn't miss anything. Karen sighed but didn't relax, instead motioning behind Naruto. That's just one half of it. Naruto nodded, looking over his shoulder at the white Zetsu enclosed Kabuto. With some respect, he nodded to the silver-haired man. Thanks Kabuto, for keeping my wife safe. Yeah. Struggling and feeling weaker by the second, Kabuto tried to grin through the pain. Least I could do. White Zetsu began to shake in place, rage taking over his being. You. Me. Naruto tilted his head as his cloak slowly formed over his body. No offense, but I don't need you now. How quickly the tables shifted in their favor, though Naruto was starting to feel the strain. First Han, then Kisame and now this. Screw today. He needed a nap. So just die. I'll harvest your insides you whelp. I'll devour. Something inside Zetsu broke, a connection between his own core of chakra and Kabuto's forcibly severed. Moreover, his body was beginning to fade. What? Body beginning to slough off from Kabuto's. Naruto was there to glare down at him coldly. I've had a rough day and put up with a lot. Had a bit of fun all in all, but it's time to be a leader now. Which means I have no time for you. Sorry not sorry. Eyes already turning away from the panting Kabuto and the puddle of soon-to-be plant matter, Rinnegan met gold as Naruto turned to the black half. And you? Can you guess why I need you? The black half of Zetsu was quiet, taking in the calm and collected Uzumaki as Karen moved around them to check on the weakened Kabuto. A complete chance mutation. You shouldn't have those eyes. I would have made more of an effort to retrieve you sooner. Naruto shrugged, barrier shrinking and solidifying more. Thank Kurama for that. He's the genius. Finally some recognition. Don't let it go to your head. Naruto shook his head before refocusing on Zetsu. Gonna give it up. I've got a lot of questions for you, and plenty of time to wait you out. I have an eternity. You have until my patience runs out, Mama's boy. Behind them, Karen kneeled down to Kabuto's side, soft green chakra suffusing her hands. Idiot. Chuckling, Kabuto sighed heavily and relaxed on the floor. Think you can trust me a little more. Locking eyes with the former follower of Orochimaru, Karen shook her head slowly and focused on stabilizing his chakra. Guess so. You're no Naruto, but I have to admit giving you a chance was worth it. I was telling the truth. Like you said, you do that quite often. Watching the pair carefully, Naruto resolved to do something nice for Kabuto later, before turning back to Black Zetsu. Well, let's get to it. I'm gonna eat him. He'll probably give you indigestion. Naruto brought a hand to his throat to activate his radio. Intruder is down control, you can lift the alert. Now came the hard part. Dragging answers out of a shade. B. Shakiro was a man of the old ways. Short chakra gave one great abilities and techniques to use. Manipulating the people and the very world around him as one could wish to. But chakra could be fickle, hard to control, thwarted even. The arms race of ever-increasing techniques and skills meant for every new ability, someone, somewhere, would eventually come up with a counter. In a world like this, returning to the basics could prove beneficial. That said, it had been a somber first night alone, a freshly sharpened blade and a river his company. Both to act as a mirror and to carry away his fading red hair. Head and face freshly shaven, he had retreated to the river's bank for a cold dinner. He could not return to Kumo with such a striking marker after all. Bright red hair was not a common feature. Nor would he be returning to his clan's home, a subject he'd be happy to not think about. Next came a fairly simple disguise to accompany his new look, thin but manageable robes that would place him as a member of many a temple across the elemental nations. Blues and greens denoting him from the land of water, while a simple shakujo of a sturdy oak wood and topped with brass rings completed his kit. Nothing else was needed for this, short of one last hidden addition. But today was another day on his journey, for the moment resting on a bench along the side of the road as he traveled near the border of the land of hot water as he made for lightning. There was a rest stop nearby, a middle-aged couple who ran a small restaurant for travelers and tourists. It was nice, to watch the people come and go. Peaceful even. Thoughts trailed off, to a life broken and full of shame and regret. He wondered what Kikyo was up to, were the girls safe? Was little Sauter getting into trouble? No. That life was behind him. Best not to dwell on them. He had a duty. A distraction then came in the form of a young girl with short frizzy black hair carrying a bowl of soup in one hand and a cup of tea in the other. Wearing a blue and yellow yukata, Shakiro bowed his head lightly to her as she paused in front of him. Hiya. My dad says you can't speak, but we should offer you something for your journey. Here she decided to kneel before him, placing the bowl and cup next to him before standing with a smile. Mama says you're on a pilgrimage, that true? Smiling and planting his staff into the ground, Shakiro kept up the act and nodded his head once to her, enjoying the simple joy that entered the girl's eyes. He wouldn't deny some company right now, even if it was one-sided. My name's Tatsumaki. Dad says I talk a lot, but Mama says it's fine. Hey, you don't mind, do you? Tatsumaki flowed to sit down next to him, staring up into the blue sky as Shakiro shook his head in the negative. I thought so. Old people always seem so kind. I bet you have a lot of stories to tell. Here Tatsumaki paused, turning to watch Shakiro while her eyes switched between him and the food she brought him. Chuckling, he picked up the bowl and sipped from it carefully, and her smile returned full force. I won't bug you for them. I hear monks take a vow of silence. Instead, can you listen to me for a bit? Giving his assent, Shakiro had to give it to the proprietor. This was a good mix. Real hearty. Great. Tatsumaki went back to looking up into the sky, feet scuffing about in the dirt. Did you know, I'm trying to save up some money. I wanna travel, see the world, ya know. My parents are against it, but I wanna go to Wave. I hear they have amazing seafood there and these massive ships come and go every single day. Here the girl becomes a bit somber, looking down into the dirt, and there's work. Lots of it. Someone could earn enough to change their life even. Maybe, help their parents out. Am I stupid for thinking like that? Shakiro shook his head. It was admirable that the girl wanted to care for her parents and help out. Though there must have been better prospects closer to home. Placing down his empty bowl, he instead picked up the tea. Something herbal, but unique. Their own blend then. Maybe. I know I could find work here in hot water like my dad wants, but for someone like me, who never went to school, well, you can guess the kind of work that I'd find in resorts and bath houses. Going quiet, the young girl seemed to draw in on herself a bit more. Mind awash with worries and doubts. I want a chance. Ta do more, ya know. I wanna be more than just some serving girl. Or a bed warmer. Right. Just because Uzumaki-sama had rebuilt Azushio and was squashing conflicts wherever he could, didn't mean the world was changing at the same pace. There were still children just like this girl. Yearning for more. For a world that could help them. Could reach them. Well, far be it from him to deny the work that Naruto had tasked himself with. His real work. He started to root around in his robes while the girl continued on. Oh. But Yano, I hear the land of rivers has a forest with mushrooms that grow bigger than even some of Konoha's greatest trees. And the land of water is home to giant whales that can swallow ships whole. And Yano, I heard a rumor that in the deserts of the land of wind there live tanuki that trick you with mirages. Have you seen anything like that? Man, if only. Humming along and seeing that the monk was done, Tatsumaki jolted to her feet, ready to take the dishes away. I hope you make it to the end of your journey. Dad says sometimes they can take a lifetime. I hope yours doesn't take that long. Shakiro chuckled, handing the bowl and the empty cup back to the girl, before snagging her wrist gently. A finger to his lips, he calmly slipped a bag into her pocket. Young boys and girls should follow the dreams. The world is a big place, maybe you'll get the chance to see something new. Something even I haven't had a chance to encounter. Eyes going wide, Tatsumaki wanted to deny what he had given her right away, if not for the smile on his face. But, shush, I'm an old man, I have no need of money. Take it. I have it on good authority that Wave is wonderful this time of year. Eyes twinkling, Shakiro felt some warmth enter his heart as the girl's eyes shimmered in the sun. Bowing deeply to the monk, Tatsumaki flashed a megawatt smile for him. Thanks, Mr. Monk. I owe ya one. Shaking his head, he waved her off as she bounced back to her parents. He couldn't do much anymore, but a small donation for a girl with a simple dream. Something he could do that didn't require fighting or destruction. A worthy donation indeed. Standing with a groan and retrieving his staff, he continued on his way. He still had a few days to go yet. Best not linger. His fallen comrades called to him, and his old bones needed rest. Konohamaru sighed heavily and leaned back, crashing into the soft grass with his arms crossed behind his head. It had been a long day, full of training and learning. What better way to end it than to relax on the hills on the outskirts of Konoha? Panting and grunting reached his ears, but he did his best to ignore them. The sky was amazing right now, a picture of orange, yellows and reds. Sunset was in full swing, painting the sky in enough colors to keep him occupied for a long while. At least, until the pale eyes of a snooty princess filled his vision. I know you heard me, you monkey. Why are you all the way out here? Hanabi was not one to be ignored, least of all by this uncultured simpleton. Though if anyone asked why she was out meeting with the Sandaim's grandson this late in the day, she'd have to juken them in the temple. Oh, me. Nope. Didn't hear a thing. Snickering as Hanabi swatted him in the shoulder, Konohamaru watched as she calmly sat next to him. There was a comfortable silence between them, one he knew better than to interrupt first. Hanabi usually was the one who wanted to start things off, and interrupting her could and often would devolve into a painful lesson in juken. Where are your friends? Udon and Mogi correct. Though their first meeting had been rather chaotic, the Hyuga heir had gotten used to the Konohamaru core. Not that she'd admit it. It is unusual to see you out alone. Konohamaru could agree with that. Udon wasn't feeling well, and Miyogi ran off to, as she put it, observe older kunoiki for specialized training, or whatever the hell that means. He certainly wasn't about to interfere. Especially when the girl was headed towards the Inuzuka grounds. Nope. He valued life. Holding in a snort that would have been very unladylike, Hanabi shook her head and turned her head up to gaze at the sky with the boy next to her. Well, that is fortunate then. Oh, why, you here to confess your love for me? He accepted the chakra strike to his thigh with ease. Feeling would return eventually. Maybe. Pulling a smoking finger away with care, Hanabi did finally snort aloud, idiot. No, well, drumming up her courage, she kept her eyes firmly up into the sky where the clouds floated by lazily. I cannot call my sister from my home. Father won't allow it. Instead I wanted to request, if maybe I could call from your home. Blinking in surprise, Konohamaru didn't immediately set about teasing the girl. So that was the issue then. Sure, you can come over anytime. You're welcome at my place. He knew she missed her older sister, Naruto's scary wife. If he could help, then power to him then. Wanna come over tonight? Yes, I mean, that would be acceptable. Slipping and showing just how eager she was, Hanabi's cheeks flushed in embarrassment. Thank you, Konohamaru. Don't stress. Waving her concerns away, Konohamaru sat up and crossed his legs. I told ya didn't I? I'm your knight. I'm here to serve. Giggling despite herself, Hanabi finally nodded along with a smile. I'll hold you to that, my knight. Both children sat in a companionable silence for a time, watching the sun dip lower into the sky, only now beginning to touch the top of the trees. Night would be upon them soon. Konohamaru. Yeah, do you think, will everything be okay? That threw Konohamaru for a loop. He turned to face the worried girl. What do ya mean, Hanabi? Fingers coming together to press against each other, the Hyuga princess let her thoughts flow freely. This the only place she could allow such. My father is still so angry and my sister can only do so much. I want to help, but, what can I do? Konohamaru shrugged but was quick to voice his thoughts at the irritation that blossomed on the pretty girl's face. Look, we're kids, right? Is it really our job to worry about stuff like that now? Your dad, well, that's his business. Big bro Naruto and big sis can take care of themselves. And I'm sure sooner or later they'll work things out. But, what if they don't? Another shrug, then they figure something else out. The world isn't going to end over it, and your life is your own to figure out too. So don't stress about the stuff you can't do anything about. Hanabi considered his words, even if she wanted to refute portions of it. She was the Hyuga heir, a mountain of responsibilities awaited her. Father's expectations, the responsibility of leading the clan, the politics of the village and its council. Stress was all she had. Such a simple mindset, maybe he'll find a monkey summon contract for you. It'd fit. Rolling his eyes, Konohamaru rose to his feet, holding out a hand to help the girl to her own as well. Maybe simple is enough. Sure, you're clan heir and have load of responsibilities and crew to think on. But for now you're still a kid. Just like me. Remember, go with the flow, firecracker. Accepting his hand and letting him pull her to her feet, Hanabi sighed and nodded. If you weren't so infuriating, your advice would be more welcome. Konohamaru chuckled as he started to walk back to the village proper. See, that's the part where you're supposed to admit that you like me. Like a rash. Oh, but it's a start. You wish. Konohamaru looked back towards her, arms linked behind his head with a wide roguish grin. Yeah, and another flush, but thankfully the waning light of the day made it harder to spot. Rolling her eyes and brushing past him, Hanabi refused to make eye contact as she reached up and snagged his hand. Come, I have a phone call to make. Hey, slow down, there's no rush. You're too slow, and this princess is busy. So bossy, are you always going to be this way? It was Hanabi's turn to look back towards him, a more delicate smile on her face that lit up the quiet hill. For you. Forever. Heart skipping, Konohamaru let the girl lead him away. That was new. Now hurry up, I want to have time to talk with my sister before it gets too late. Hi, as you command. Well, he'd have to talk to big bro later too. He needed help. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.